Welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into something really fascinating, a piece of financial thinking from right before the big crash. It's got this incredible title, Everybody Ought to Be Rich.
Yeah, it's quite a statement, isn't it? And knowing when it was published makes it even more, well, striking. We're talking about John J. Raskob.
A major player, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Tied to DuPont, General Motors, even chaired the Democratic National Committee. And this wasn't some obscure pamphlet. It was in the Ladies' Home Journal, August 1929.
August 29. Wow. Okay, so he's this establishment giant basically telling regular folks, homemakers reading the journal, that getting rich isn't just a dream. It's almost like they're right.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But we need to unpack what he meant by rich. It's specific.
Right, not just yachts and mansions.
No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
For Raskob, you were rich when your investments paid you enough to live comfortably without needing your job's salary. Ideally, the investment income would match or even beat your earnings.
Okay, financial independence.
Exactly. And crucially, he argued this was genuinely achievable for anyone.
So if it's possible for anyone, why wasn't everyone doing it? What was stopping them in, the summer of 29?
Good question. Raskob didn't blame the economy itself. He said the wealth was there, but it was distributed unevenly because of, and this is his phrase, a lack of systematic investment and also the lack of even moderately sensible investment.
So people were basically messing it up for themselves.
That was his view. He saw people falling into three main traps.
Okay, let's hear them. Who should we not be like, according to Raskob?
Well, first you've got the ultra-cautious savers, the ones putting money in savings banks, getting that tiny fixed interest. He acknowledged it was safe, sure, but said it absolutely does not lead to wealth. You're just treading water.
Playing it too safe. Got it. What's next?
And then you've got the opposite extreme, the gamblers, buying into wildcat security, hoping for that overnight jackpot. They usually just lose everything.
The get-rich-quick schemes. Yeah, those never change.
Right. And the third group is maybe the saddest. These are people who are smart enough to see that bank interest is too low, and they're too sensible for the wildcat stocks.
So what do?
They just give up. They save nothing at all.
Okay, so after pointing out what not to do, Raskob pivots to what does work. This is where common stocks come in, right? Equity.
Exactly. He argues that stocks have soared because, well, American businesses soared. And he uses this absolutely stunning example to prove his point.
This must be the General Motors story I've heard about.
That's the one. He points out, look, if you'd put $10,000 into GM common stock back in 1919, just 10 years earlier.
Yeah.
By 1929, that $10,000 would be worth, get this, more than $1.5 million.
Wow. Okay. 10 grand to 1.5 million in
Okay.
10 years. That explains the optimism.
Totally. And he wasn't hesitant about it either. He famously declared, we have scarcely started.
Yeah.
He truly believed national wealth would just keep accelerating, all driven by people buying more stuff.
More consumption.
Yep. And, this wasn't just him theorizing. He claimed his blueprint was based on actual successes he'd engineered.
The trusts he ran.
Precisely. He'd apparently been setting up and managing investment trusts for associates since way back, like 1907. His argument was built on those results.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. The $15 a month plan. This is the takeaway for people, right? Even if the numbers are dated. How did it work?
He lays out the mechanics based on some trusts that had run for a full 20 years by then. The rules were strict. Save $15 every single month.
$15. Seems tiny now.
Well, it was something then. And that money went only into buying common stocks. No playing the market, no quick flips, no borrowing, at least not initially.
So discipline. Long-term focus on owning pieces of companies.
Exactly that. Plus, every single dividend payment, any stock rights issued, all of it stayed in the trust. It got reinvested immediately.
Compounding in action.
You got it. So you add up the actual cash saved over 20 years. It's $180 a year times 20. That's only $3,600 total out of pocket.
$3,600. Okay, and what did that turn into by 1929?
Each one of those trusts, he reported, was worth well in excess of $80,000.
$80,000 from $3,600. That's quite a return.
Incredible, right? And then he does the final calculation. Take that $80,000, invest it conservatively at 6%.
Okay.
That throws off $4,800 a year, or $400 a month, which, according to his definition, was enough passive income to make you rich, financially independent.
So the blueprint seems clear. Start young, save small but consistently, invest in stocks, reinvest everything, wait 20 years, boom, you're rich. But if it's so simple, why wasn't everyone doing it? What were the roadblocks?
Raskob saw two main hurdles. rooted in just, well, how people are.
Human nature.
Yeah. First was just the trouble of saving, putting money in a regular bank account. The return is pathetic, zero motivation, and the money's just sitting there, easy to grab. He even mentions, maybe your sister-in-law has an emergency. Poof, savings gone.
Huh. Right. Too easy to access, not enough reward. What was the second problem?
The second was the trouble of finding adequate investment medium or advice. Your average person, Tom, he calls him, couldn't get the time of day from a big banker.
Too small an account.
Yep. And if Tom did manage to talk to a banker, what would they advise? Bonds. Always bonds. Safer, less work for the banker. Maybe the banker didn't even understand stocks well. And stockbrokers. Raskob says they just flat out ignore the little guy.
Okay, so lack of discipline and lack of access or good advice. This leads him to propose something really ambitious, right? A way to fix both problems on a massive scale.
Exactly. He wanted to basically force people into this successful model. He based it on this other thing he ran, the manager securities company. For GM and DuPont execs, apparently turned $25K into over $1 million there.
So what did the public version look like?
He proposed creating this huge nationwide equity securities corporation. Think of it like a giant, publicly accessible investment trust.
Run by trustworthy people.
Absolutely. Top-tier directors. And critically, this corporation would invest only in a diversified portfolio of common stocks from the best industrial companies. No bonds, no funny business.
And transparency was key, you mentioned.
Huge point. All the financials, what stocks they held, the management costs, everything published regularly. The main company itself couldn't even take on debt.
Okay, sounds solid. But how did people buy into it, especially if they had trouble saving?
This is the really radical part, and maybe the part that looks questionable with hindsight. He proposed setting up an affiliated discount company.
A discount company, like for financing?
Exactly like for financing a car.
Wait, you mean borrowing money to buy stock?
Yes, he argued it was constructive borrowing. Let's say Tom, our average guy, has $200 saved. The discount company would lend him another $300.
So he has $500 total?
Right. He uses that $500 to immediately buy shares in the main equity corporation. Then he pays back that $300 loan in regular compulsory installments, just like his car payment.
Wow, so he's locking himself into saving and investing but taking on debt. That flips the whole idea of thrift on its head.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
Raskob knew this. He directly attacked what he called hidebound theories of thrift. He wanted people to embrace constructive saving instead.
Okay, define constructive saving. What's wrong with just, putting money in a sock or under the mattress?
Well, Raskob said that's irrational for you personally, obviously. But he went further. He argued if everyone just saved and scrimped and didn't spend, the whole economy would grind to a halt. Less consumption means less production means general poverty.
Interesting. So saving isn't enough. It has to fuel the economy somehow.
That's the core idea. Your savings have to be constructive. They need to flow immediately into wealth production. When Tom buys that stock, it helps a company buy a new machine, make more stuff, generate more profit.
Which boosts the stock value, making Tom richer so he can buy more stuff.
Exactly. It's an endless chain, as he put it. Prosperity feeding prosperity.
This also ties into how he viewed bonds versus stocks, doesn't it? He challenged the whole bonds are safe, stocks are risky idea.
He really did. He dismissed it as old-fashioned thinking. He pointed out, look, a bond gives you fixed interest, sure. It limits your potential gain. But it absolutely does not limit your potential loss.
How so? Default risk.
Default risk, yeah, but also interest rate risk. And he added that bondholders are basically speculating against the changing value of money itself over time.
Okay. Whereas with stock...
With common stock in a solid company, Raskob argued, sure, you don't have a limit on losses either, but you also don't have a limit on gains. And crucially, your earnings are always tied to current money values. His conclusion, buying stock in a good business is no riskier than buying its debt, its bond. You just swap a limited return for potentially unlimited profit.
So the banker pushing safe bonds is stuck in the past, but the guy borrowing to buy GM stock is the smart one. That relies entirely on borrowing being good, right?
Yes. His whole system depends on the idea of constructive debt. Debt as a tool for earning, not just spending.
He had an example for that too, didn't he? Like, tools.
Yeah, the analogy of a worker needing tools. He could save for years to buy them. Or he could borrow the money now, buy the tools immediately, increase his income faster because he has the tools, and then pay off the loan quicker than he could have saved the cash. The borrowing speeds everything up.
Right. And the big real-world proof for him in 1929.
The installment plan for automobiles? car loans.
Ah, okay.
He points out that when buying cars on credit first started, all the traditional bankers and even some manufacturers were horrified. They cried, extravagance, ruin.
But what actually happened?
Raskob says it created billions in new wealth. Think of all the factories, the steel, the rubber, the roads, the gas stations, the mechanics, all spurred by people being able to buy cars now instead of saving for years. He saw consumer credit as this vital incentive that boosted prosperity for the whole country.
So that's his closing argument, really. Forget being timid, forget just saving.
Pretty much. He says fortunes aren't made by scrimping pennies, they're made by producing. And for the average person, the way to get a piece of that is to, quote, get into the profit end of wealth production in this country. Buy stocks. Own a piece of the engine.
Okay, let's wrap this up for you, the listener. Raskob's message, distilled down, is pretty clear. You need systematic saving, yes, but channeled into long-term ownership of equities of stocks. And don't be afraid to use borrowing, this constructive debt, to get started and enforce discipline. It's a really potent argument, especially for its time.
Definitely potent, but there's that chilling context, isn't there? August 1929. Raskob was utterly convinced the country had scarcely started, that the present very solid prosperity built on this borrowing and consumption cycle was just the beginning. Which leads to a final thought for you to mull over.
When you build a financial strategy, especially one involving leverage, that relies so heavily on the guarantee of future growth, future prosperity. How much of that is sound strategy and how much is just unchecked optimism? What was just over the horizon that Raskob's incredibly confident calculations completely missed? Something to think about as you consider debt, equity, and optimism in your own plans.